Should I go on my channel?
No, you're fine there.
Okay.
Cool. Well, hello guys, Angus here from Makers Muse, and thank you very much for joining me on this Sunday. And welcome to the regular Sunday live stream. I have my helpful lady muse here to look at your questions and comments, and basically, I've been trying to get Fusion to play nicely with OBS, Open Broadcasting System software, and you might have just quickly seen when I turned the stream on that I had to go between the OBS to get to here. It doesn't like using a window capture. It only likes it when I'm using the full screen capture. So I can't see the stream myself. I can only see Fusion360, so I'm relying heavily on my very helpful lady muse to tell me if there's any issues. But yeah, thank you very much for joining me. And essentially today is going to be a bit about trying to do something in Fusion that I've been wanting to do for a while, and it's been on my mind, kind of annoying me, and that's this. So this is a cube lattice. Essentially, it's just lots of cube outlines joined together in a pattern, but it's been printed like this. And the idea behind it is each sort of spoke, if you like, is at a maximum of 45 degrees overhang. And because of that, it doesn't need support. So I just finished recording a video on retraction settings that's going to be going live probably tomorrow. And during doing that video in fine-tuning my retractions, it was mostly so I could get this sort of print off, because imagine this full of stringing, it wouldn't look very good. But that's what I'm going to try to do in Fusion. I'm going to try to replicate this kind of idea and see how it goes. So thank you for joining me, come along for the ride, and as always, ask your questions, and Lady Muse will try to forward them on to me. She actually has a mic this time, which is not very good, but hopefully it means you can hear her a bit better. So yeah, let's fire it up. Are we all good on your end?
Yeah, how does this sound?
I can't hear it.
Okay.
It's up to them. But it should be good. Excellent. Okay, so basically what I said, as I was saying, with this idea, getting my head around it is extremely difficult. It's looks simple, but to model it is kind of confusing. It's a cube with essentially a circle that's swept around all the edges of a cube. So modeling it is actually a bit, I don't know, might be tricky. So what I've got here is I've just started a sketch, and I'm going to make it probably 30 by 30. And by all means, interrupt me anytime you like.
Don't worry, we'll do.
This is what's been annoying me in Fusion lately. So it's still blue, and I can't for the life of me work out why. And everyone's like, oh, it's not constrained to the origin or something. I don't know. This is what's been annoying me recently in Fusion. That should be fully constrained, and I can't work out why. So maybe if someone in the comments can let me know why it's not fully constrained, that would be wonderful. I mean, yeah, that over-constrains it. I don't know. Anyway, not too important. So let's exit that sketch. And let's start another one. Sketch. What plane do I want? That's the top. So I guess, yeah, top plane. Not too fast. And I'm going to draw a circle. Center diameter. And let's go with 4. Fairly chunky. Yeah. So I'm not so sure if this is going to actually work, but I'm going to try doing a sweep. So the idea is I want to sweep this circle around this square. Not sure it will work, but let's try. So let's go to create sweep. Single path. Yep. So that's my profile. Path. Hey, that was actually pretty easy. Cool. So we've got, I guess, one edge of our original square. I hear lots of frantic typing. Is everything okay?
Oh yes, just passing down some information. I'll be shooting some questions around in a bit.
Okay, no worries. All good. Okay. So I'm going to get this shape now, and I'm going to pattern it around itself to make a cube, I guess. So the easiest way to do that. What would be the easiest way? So that's my front view. I want I guess, a center line to go around. So I might make a new plane that's 45 degrees between my other two planes. So I've got front there, and I've got left there. So what I can do is I can go to construct, and then, plane at an angle. That might work. We can do that, maybe.
Angus?
Yes.
One question, it just came through, and I think it's a good one in reference to what you're doing.
Yes.
So King Armadillo asks, is there a link or what's the name of the model that you're currently using so they can see what you're making in detail?
I cannot unfortunately share the link for this because it's an unreleased file that I got from somewhere else. It's not online. But it will be online from me, basically. But yeah, essentially it's a cube with 45-degree lattice. So unfortunately it's not online. But there is some similar things online. It all came from when I was modeling the lattice infill for the giant maker coin I did ages ago. Because Mesh Mixer makes this automatically, and you can check that video out as well if you like. So it's got a lattice infill, but it doesn't automatically terminate into these nice edges. So that's why I went to try to model it. So yeah, unfortunately, there's no file on. There is some similar files, but not this one. But it will be soon. Just watch out for it. But I'm going to make a 45-degree angle plane to pattern this around. So I'm going to click, I guess, select this line here. And then 45. Sweet. Gee, will that help me? Maybe, maybe not. It's the easiest way to get a center point from this. I'm trying to think. I can just draw a point and then go up. Yeah, I'll just do that. Okay. Top view. Create sketch on the top view. And I'm just going to draw myself a point, which is going to be... It's probably not the best way to do it, but it'll be easiest for me to figure it out.
So Angus.
Yes.
Sydney Makers Hub told me to tell you about the Hilbert curve. It's the support material that MakerBot uses for breakaway support. And someone made an awesome model of it.
Okay. I will check out the Hilbert curve. That is pretty interesting to know about. So all I'm doing is trying to make a center point to pattern my shape around. Again, there's probably a much more clever way to do this. But right now, I'm just learning how Fusion functions, I guess. Show me my sketch. Show me the original sketch. There we go. Midpoint. What? Why? Midpoint. It's not letting it go midpoint. I don't know why. Okay, fine. Hide the body. That's... Yeah? Midpoint? I don't know. It seems so buggy to me, guys, that to put things in place like that constraint for the midpoint, just refused to do it till I moved to a different view. I'm still really unsure as to how reliable this is as a modeler. I'll be completely honest. Anyway, I have that sketch, which is just a construction for me to use my 45-degree angle plane and then create a sketch on there. And all I need to do now is just draw a line to model my thing off. So, coincident. Why won't it be coincident? Again, why is that not... why is that not being coincident? I just don't understand why it's not working. Oh dear.
Shall we take this momentary elapse to ask a question?
Ask questions, I'll figure out what's going on.
Okay, so let's have a look at... Okay, so Kevin asked a while ago, what cameras do you use to make videos? Also, how does the cube not need support?
So for cameras that I use for videos, right now I'm using a Logitech C920 webcam, which is perfectly good enough for 1080p streaming. And for my regular camera, I used to use a DSLR, which is a Nikon D5300, but that was a pain to use because it's designed for photos, not video. So I now use a Panasonic Lumix G7, which is, pretty good, small, lightweight. Can do 4K if I wanted to, but I don't. And that seems to work pretty good. That's what I use for my cameras. But you really don't need anything fancy for YouTube at all. I cannot... Okay, I'm going to do a different approach. This is not working for me at all. So I'm going to do a mirror instead.
So Angus.
Yes.
Technology nerd asks, have you heard about the Fab Mini 2?
Yes, actually Hobby King mentioned it to me a little while ago. So the Fabricator Mini 2 looks decent, I guess. The 1.5 that I've got still going strong. I mean, I haven't used it very much because it's so small, but I don't know. I might be able to check them out. I've got a lot of printers lined up. So okay. What I was trying to do is I was trying to get that line center point to then make a pattern around. And for some unknown reason, it's not letting me do a coincident onto the two. Even though it should be mathematically perfect using the 45-degree plane, it ain't working. So forget that. I'm going to delete that sketch and delete that sketch. Instead, I'm going to do a mirror. So I'm just going to go to Create and Mirror. And I'm going to mirror this object around this plane. No.
So Angus, Maddie says on one of your previous issues, can you use constraints to force it to go where you need? Maybe they're somehow on different planes accidentally.
Yeah, so I tried to use a constraint to force it into place, but it just kept saying the constraint. I've never even seen that error before, where the constraint was just red and it wouldn't let me do it. So probably in theory, yes, but we've now I've now moved on from there and given up. So what I've done here is I've just mirrored the object to make one part of the object. There we go. So that's half of our cube, I guess. And then I can just make another plane and mirror it around that plane, I guess. I don't know why it just was refusing to work. I really have no clue. Unless I can make it project onto that one. Let's have a look. Okay. Let's go to create sketch on our 45-degree plane. And can we just project this line? Maybe? Sketch. And Where is project? I'm just coming in from... Oh, there we go, project. Project. No, I just want the line. I guess I can make it collinear. Collinear. There we go. Okay. So the way around that was to instead trying to do a coincident whatever thing, I've just made it collinear with that 45-degree plane. That seemed to work. Right. You're learning with me. And because that seemed to work okay, I can actually get rid of the mirror and just do a rotational pattern. So let's just go down the bottom here. Delete the mirror. So create pattern, circular pattern, objects, body, all of the body, axis, that line. There we go. Easy, right? Easy if you know what you're doing. 4. Okay, so it's going to make our cube, and we want to... Oh, my bad. Pattern bodies. Sorry, that should have been the right selection. And yeah. Okay. Are they joined together? Maybe I should have pattern features. It's alright, we can go, you can change it. Edit features. Pattern features. So, patterning the sweep. Yes. It still shows separate bodies. I don't know if there's an option to combine them or not. Someone in the chat might know if there's a way to make them combine.
Oh, don't say that. The chat's already going crazy. I can barely keep up.
What do they say?
Well, shall we get some questions out of the way? Because I've got an impressive list right
Okay.
now.
I'll pause and we can answer some questions. How about that? Okay.
Okay, so just to get some out of the way. So while Josh Bywater asks, can you do a guide on fine-tuning a 3D printer?
Yeah, so I have thought about making a guide to fine-tune 3D printers. The biggest issue is every single one is different. I made a video a while ago about how to get your nozzle height correct, and there was 6 different ways on 6 different printers. So fine-tuning your printer is very much down to what printer you have. And although I could do a video on some basics, they will be only barely applicable to most machines. So my 3D 101 tutorial series on various print settings like support material tuning and retraction settings and that sort of thing, that's useful. That's probably a good place to start. I probably should do some on how to tune new materials for temperature. But again, different printers have different PID settings, so different temperatures work better on different machines. So yeah, I can do some basic things, but it is very difficult because every machine's different. It's once you start working with different machines, different companies, you start to realize just how many variations of the same theme there is. It's pretty crazy.
Also, your call-out has prompted people to ask to do the modify and combine, or combine and modify.
Okay. Yeah, that makes
that
sense.
Helps.
Modify, combine. Thank you very much. That worked perfectly. Yay! Okay, that's perfect. Yeah, you can ask more questions if you like.
Okay, so let's have a look. Which one? Okay, so John Velez asks, what are your thoughts on extruder nozzle upgrades like the new tungsten on one Kickstarter? Are they worth getting, or is brass enough?
Yeah, so everyone's trying to push the envelope with FDM technology now. So the nozzles are the next step to print very difficult materials like abrasive ones like carbon fiber. Even glow-in-the-dark filaments have abrasive particles in them. So the usual way around that is people print with like a stainless steel nozzle, which is useful because it's harder than brass, but less useful because its thermal conductivity is much lower than brass, which means you need to print slower because they can't keep the heat up as long. The heat transfer into the nozzle is slower than brass, which is really good for heat, thermal conductivity. So the tungsten one was an attempt to get a material that's really hard. Tungsten is super hard, but also has fairly good thermal conductivity. But the problem is it's very expensive. So that's why I did the Kickstarter. In my opinion, look, I'm a bit of a cheapskate when it comes to 3D printers. If a nozzle only lasts for a few prints, it's like $1. You can just buy lots of them, whereas the tungsten one is pretty expensive, and it's not going to make it immune from clogging, which would be a disaster if your new nozzle clogged because of dust or a filament jam and the PLA or whatever you're printing with burnt in the nozzle. So personally, I would cheap out and buy lots of brass nozzles. But if you're really hardcore and you're printing those materials all the time, yeah, maybe the tungsten one's the way to go. But I did comment a bit on that in my previous sort of Kickstarter roundup video. I think it's just a bit too expensive for what it is. Even though I can see it justified because it's hard to machine material, it's very pricey. That's my opinion on those. Stealing your water.
All right, so Brian Peter asks, what are your thoughts on water-dissolved filaments for supports?
Yeah, water-dissolved filaments like PVA are completely useless. That's going to be my opinion on them. They absorb moisture from the air because they're water-soluble. Printing with them is very, very difficult. It can only be a matter of hours before the properties change because they've been exposed to moisture in the air. And they only really work with PLA and you need to fine-tune them very nicely. People in the chat might have a few opinions on it, but personally, I've never ever gotten PVA filament to work in my life. There is something coming out soon from Polymaker, which is going to be really cool, it's going to be an alcohol-soluble support. Keep your eye out for that. That's going to be a much better option because it's not going to be moisture sensitive. But personally, dual extruded printers using soluble support out of PVA, that sort of thing, not worth your effort. Absolutely do break away. It's so much easier and quicker. Even though it doesn't sound like it is, it really is. The only way to do soluble support properly at the moment is by using Stratasys machines with the proper support, which is obviously expensive. You don't have to catch all the questions.
I'm trying.
It's fine.
Okay, so another question is from Jacob O.
Mm-hmm.
How's your nozzle? Because has it ever broke? Because his has.
Nozzle.
Yeah, I think that a question to that is probably a big fat yes. Otherwise, I'll be very impressed.
Yeah, no, nozzles break all the time. Well, jam, clog. Yeah, they're a consumable part. So you're putting material through a very small opening. It will eventually fill up with crap. Yeah, so absolutely. I've gone through nozzles before. I've gone through heat tubes, thermistors eventually fatigue. The heat tubes have nichrome wire that eventually becomes brittle. Over time, these components fail. They're at very high temperatures for a very long period of time. And yeah, they're consumables. You absolutely need to replace them. That's as simple as that. One more question.
Yeah, so Cat Gaming asks, when you use the Triners,
Mm-hmm.
it was a pre-production unit, but would you recommend it as a first printer?
The Trinus, yeah, I mean, I really don't do these sort of do I recommend printers questions, but the Trinus is pretty good for the price. It's pretty simple to use. The model that people in the Kickstarter will get will be very different to the one I tested, but it was good. It's a good machine. It's very heavy for what the build volume is, which is kind of good. It's rigid, but yeah, I mean, it's pretty small. You're looking at the size, that big, and it's going to be pretty slow because of the lead screws. But for a first printer, it's not a bad option. They're all pretty much the same at that price point these days. All right, so I'm just going to do a pattern on this, and that's what's going to turn that shape into this, hopefully. So let's go to create, and then pattern, and this time we just want a rectangular pattern. This is our object. Actually, no, pattern bodies, my mistake. This is our body. And directions, we're going to pattern it this way. So it was a 30. Oh, no, I shouldn't have hit enter. That's all right. Let's go back. Edit. No, there should be an option to pattern it. There we go. Spacing. Not extent. There we go. And let's go the other way. No, that's fine. So how many do I want? Let's do 5. So 5 of those that way. And then should be able to choose another direction, surely. I might need to draw a sketch. If your thin walls are warping, they're definitely not cooling enough. So you're either printing too hot or you're printing too fast. Cooling, you can never have too much cooling with PLA. If you've got a fan and it's not doing enough of a good job, you can actually have a desk fan pointing into the printer. That actually does help as well. But yeah, if you mean warping is in deforming, then that's a cooling issue, and that it's too hot, it's not cooling quick enough. If you mean warping is in it's warping upwards like a ABS would, yeah, I don't know, PLA shouldn't be doing that. So if it is doing that, I'd say again, you're printing too hot. That would be probably what's going on. So I'm just going to roll back the feature tree. And I'm going to draw a sketch line so I can pattern it that way as well. So let's do sketch, sketch, and it's going to draw a line. That'll do. And then go back to my pattern. So I'm using the feature tree. You might not be able to see it down the bottom. I will use it in a future video. This is more about me just trying new things with you guys around, which is fun. Directions. Can I do more than one direction? Surely I can. Maybe I'm not. Maybe I can only do one at a time. That's okay. So, alright, let's do 3 patterns then. So, create rectangular pattern. And again, direction.
So,
yes.
Time for another.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Okay, so Andy Meggs asked a bit ago, can you recommend a source or channel for tutorials on Fusion 360? Like, you're currently learning it yourself. Which tutorials have you been using, if any?
I've just been kind of, learning it just through trial and error personally, but I've got a lot of experience with other 3D modeling programs, especially other parametric programs. Yeah, I would recommend, if you go to the Adafruit channel, I've got Noah and Pedro there who do really good tutorials in their layer by layer series. I think it's mostly Noah who does them. But yeah, I would recommend those. He's done some really cool stuff. He did a light up mace, which was completely parametric. You could change the spikes and everything. I would definitely recommend their channel. But yeah, I've only looked at those and a few basic tutorials. I can't really think of any more off the top of my head other than the official Autodesk tutorials, which to be honest are good, but they go a little bit fast if you've never used 3D modeling before. So that's why I try to go really slow in my videos so far. And I'm pretty happy with this pattern. So we've got a lattice like that. And I might combine all these bodies while I'm ahead. So what was it? Modify and combine. That works. Cool. Any more questions?
Well, a couple of people have been asking questions, but I think I'll just rephrase it in a general one. For people starting out, what CAD program would you recommend? Like, I know you've used Tinkercad before. Would you recommend that as a starting program?
I would say if you have never had any 3D modeling experience, fire up Tinkercad and see how you go. You'll either find it's perfectly suitable for what you want to do, or maybe even it's quite a bit of a learning curve to learn the 3D space. Because if you've never used 3D programs before, you might think you're raising a cube up, but you're actually moving it backwards because of the perspective similarities. It's actually quite complicated to get your head around working in 3D space. So Tinkercad's a great starting point. And then from there, if you find Tinkercad's way too simple for you, then I'd move on to Fusion, or to be honest, Onshape as well. I've done a few videos in Onshape. The reason I'm moving away from Onshape is it's just a bit slow for me because it's very much server-based. Fusion 360 tends to be more locally based. It is still cloud, but it seems to be a bit faster for me. So yeah, start with Tinkercad and then go from there. Also, you might be into organic modeling. By all means, that's sort of free form, in which case you might want to try Sculptress. Lady Muse is currently learning Sculptress and doing awesome things. It's like virtual clay.
I fully endorse Sculptures. It is a lot of fun. Give it a go.
Yeah, so that's free as well. So all of these are free options with various paid future ways, if you like. So Fusion360 is free if you're a student, and also free if you're a startup earning under 100k US a year, which I'm very much not earning even close to that. And Onshape is free up to 10 private documents, I think. And then you can have as many as you like publicly, I guess. So they all have free routes, and see which one you like. But I'd start with Tinkercad, definitely. Okay, I'm gonna do my last pattern. So let's go to pattern, create pattern. That's our objects, and let's pattern it this way. So spacing, distance 30. I keep hitting enter. I need to stop doing that. 3, 4, 5. What if I can change the direction? Okay, so that's minus 30 then. Hey. That's crazy. What do you reckon?
What?
Do you like it?
Yes, it looks infinitely more complex than the current model you have now.
Yeah. So the current one's only a 3x3 grid. This is a 5x5, which is huge. So that's the left view, front view. Cool. Okay. So, yeah, I guess the thing about this sort of shape is to make it printable without support, I guess it needs to have that 45-degree starting point. So I'm assuming I can do a plane at 45 through one of these, maybe a little bit more into the shape, and then cut it, like split the shape, and then it should work. Maybe. Let's have a look. Construct. You can keep asking questions as well, by the way. I'm just learning and exploring.
Yeah, no, I just misread a question, so I was correcting myself, but I'll ask here. Bubblewood asks, what careers use 3D printing currently?
What careers use 3D printing?
Well, like careers or fields. Like, where can you go with 3D printing?
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, I guess going back to my MakerBot video a week ago or so, in terms of 3D printing, it has always been for the prototype. It has never really been for mass production. So in terms of what fields are using 3D printing right now, they're always going to be the fields that need prototypes or one-offs for either speeding up their workflow or assisting in very niche industries and fields. So you're looking at the medical, that's massive at the moment. So they're using 3D printing for pre-operative studies. So they'll do like a printout of a very complex, cancer approach or bone reconstruction, and they'll just 3D print. They're not implanting it. They're just going to 3D print these objects and sort of see how they'll approach it. That's massive at the moment, and I think a 3D printing technician for a medical institution could be a job in the future if it isn't already. On the other side, there's the industry side. So 3D printing for prototypes, that's always been a very big industry. And that's where I originally started, industrial design, where you want to manufacture prototypes for testing out form studies or showing the client what you think of something before you commit to tooling. That's always going to be a use for 3D printing, absolutely, and that's still a big industry. That's sort of where a lot of these 3D printing on demand services started, and what their main is how they make their money mostly. And then there's the sort of model side of things. So there'd be architectural. In Sydney, you have to have an actual model of the development you're planning. So you need a 3D print, basically, or a hand model. 3D printing is quicker and cheaper. So that's a huge industry that's mandated by the government in the area. And then there's corporate side where you're trying to wow investors. So you want a model of a mine site. And that's what I used to do in Perth. We make scale models of mines that they'd take to investors. And that's a huge booming industry as well. So they're the ones that are going at the moment still strong. It's all the stupid consumerist side of things that didn't exist in the first place, in my opinion. That's not really happening anymore. So you're not getting mini-me parlors. You're not getting come in and print a toy for your kid and come back in 2 days when we actually get the print to work. None of that actually exists anymore. And I wouldn't invest in that. But in the higher end of the industry, if you can get into it, if you can get a nice job doing that, working these machines, doing those sort of jobs, it might be boring, but it's definitely got the cash. That's where the money is. And that's how it's being used at the moment, mostly, I'd say. It's being used for those industries. That was a long answer.
Is my thing still on? Yes, it is. Another question. What do you think about the printer bot play? Some of the people have been asking this and wondering. So do you have any thoughts on it?
No.
Okay. I know you don't like these questions, but I have to ask.
Yeah, look, guys, I haven't used any printer bots. The main reason is to get them into Australia makes them more expensive than, in my opinion, what they're kind of worth versus the Chinese machines. So they're very hard to find in Australia. There was only a few importers, and I've just never used one, so I literally can't comment. It would be completely irresponsible with me. I'm going to see if I can do a plane. Let's do plane through 3 points. 3 points. So let's choose maybe, let's try that point. That point. Nope, that's what I wanted. That one, and that one. Is that what I want? I think it's what I want.
Let's be honest, it's never what you want.
It's never what I want, what I really, really want. So I want to cut that away. So I'm going to go to create. Is it create or modify? Split body. Split body, that's what I want. So the body is the... Oh, hold on. I need to combine them first. It would be nice if the pattern tool could combine at the same time. I will say that. But that should work. Okay. So I've got one body. And I'm going to try splitting it with this new plane. So modify split body. That's the body and that's the... Oh god. Okay. I assume that's going to work. Yes. Yes. Haha. Success. So what we have, if I can just like hide these annoying planes and annoying sketches, go away, is that's where the print should start. So it forms on those, how many we've got? We've got 5, I guess, areas that's going to start, 5 contact points and then form out from there. That's crazy. that's a crazy 3D print. Okay. Right. I'm going to save this as an STL, but any more questions before I do?
Yes. I'll ask CJ's question because the poor fellow has been waiting for a while. I do
poor
apologize.
CJ.
Oh, geez, where did my question go? Oh, yeah, there it is. Have you had much experience or smoking or fire with, problems with 3D printers or CN machines or, things like that?
Catching fire?
Catching fire, exploding, drama.
No. Luckily, I've never had any of my machines... Well, except my robots. My robots have caught fire. But I guess that's because they're put under extreme stress loads. And it's kind of funny when it happens. But none of my CNC machines or my like 3D printers, tools, none of those have caught fire, which is good because usually I just leave them alone. So if you have a 3D printing room, and I say this in a lot of streams, have a smoke detector at the printer, just in case something happens, so it alerts you. Because as we saw with Chuck's video on the Wanhao i3 Plus, you know, that's a good machine that I reviewed, and I said was great, because I didn't have any issues. His one had that sparking issue with the bed, and that's just a simple missing part. You know, it should have been an installation washer. There wasn't. And then it led to smoke and a spark, and could have led to a fire. So yeah, luckily I haven't had any of that happen to me yet. I have blown up a corded drill once. I was trying to drill through some steel. No, it wasn't steel. It was really thick plastic with a big spade bit, with a crappy drill, and after a couple of holes it literally just started catching fire and smoking. So I have blown up some tools, but I've never blown up a 3D printer yet, which is good, because that would be bad. I probably wouldn't be allowed back in this room if one of those caught fire.
That's just what we need, a fire in the workshop.
That'd be the last straw. There's construction, actually today's really nice, there's no wind, but there's construction during the weekdays. That's what we need, just a fire. That'd make my day. Alright, I'm going to export this as an STL, I think. So let's go to File, 3D Print, select my mesh, and save it off. And where should I save it? Let's save it into the remeshing folder. And let's save as lattice cube 5 by 5. Right. So I think it might be a bit too big for my build volume, but we'll see. I'm going to fire up Simplify 3D and have a look. Let's have a squiz. Oh god. Look how huge it is.
Oh jeez. You're not gonna try to print that, are you?
Yep.
Oh god, the poor machine.
I can scale it though. That's okay. I made it quite thick on purpose. Place surface on bed. Bam. Yeah, cannot auto arrange because it's too big. So let's make it as large as Simplify 3D will allow on the Wanhao Duplicator 6. Maximum size. If I rotate it around, then it will... Oh no, that's not going to help, is it? Because it's like a diamond. So how big's this? It's currently 180.
No. No.
Yes.
No.
100% yes.
I'm not coming in. You're doing that by yourself. I'm not helping.
Yeah, it could end in tears. Anyway, now's a good time for a question while I plan on destroying my printer.
I'm going to ask you some questions now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so which one? Okay, I'm going to ask some of the older ones. Hopefully the people are still around. Apologies for the wait, guys. Okay, so Deepanch asks, what's your thoughts about... Oh, wait, I'm not going to ask. No, wait. Oh, I want to know this question. What's your thoughts about the new... was it Prusa, P-R-U-S-A, quad-color extruder upgrade?
That's pretty cool. So the new Prusa multi-color upgrade from Joseph, it looks awesome. Looks really, really, really cool. And I do have a Mark II from him that I've not had time to test fully yet. It survived shipping really perfectly, which is surprising because it came all the way to Australia from the Czech Republic. But they're really amazing machines, and if anything's to go on what other people have said, the quad extruder upgrade for it will just be mint. Apparently it was on display at one of the shows in England, I think. CTC, is that the one? I can't remember the name of it. Apparently it was on display. A lot of people thought it was awesome. And also Maker Faire is on right now. I think it's on this weekend. I don't know, in New York. And I really wanted to go. And I'm so jealous of Joel and Preston. And who else went? Chuck. Everyone. I'm so jealous of them going to that. But yeah, to go back to your question, it looks really, really good. Multicolor printing, in my opinion, is still a bit of a gimmick. I mean, it's not something I'm interested in doing, but yeah, if you are, then it's definitely worth looking into, because it looked like it had perfect results with no contamination, because it uses that cube or column to just smear out what was in the nozzle before and move on. You'd have to use the same kind of printing temperatures though, like the Prometheus system, but otherwise, yeah, looks really good. Okay, I'm going to turn support off. I'm going to turn, skirt on. It's probably a bit hot. Let's go with 190. Cool.
Okay, I'll ask a question from Alfred. So, how do you feel about the triple F compared on professional techniques? So, Fusion, I don't know what triple F is like.
Oh, okay, I know what you're talking about. So, here's the long story short. Stratasys held a patent on FDM technology for a very long time, fused deposition modeling, and they held a patent on the name fused deposition modeling. So when the RepRap project came along, they had to call it something else. They called it FFF, which is what, fused filament fabrication, something similar, but not. It's exactly the same. It's a different acronym. And now we've moved on from that stupid patent. Now we can just call it FDM, but it's exactly the same. There's no difference. It's the same technology. And this is lagging the computer up, so it might be messing with the stream. But this is my thing. So you can see how it's going to build up, I guess, from the bottom, and then 45 degrees branch out from itself. I mean, this idea is, it's so going to lag the stream up. The computer's struggling a bit. But the idea is there's no overhangs. It's 45 degree overhangs, but there's nothing that needs support. Yeah. So that's going to take supposedly 11 hours. So after this stream, I'll kick it off and I'll do a time lapse of it, and you'll see it in a future video. But that's pretty cool. I'm pretty happy with that. Anyway, I'm going to save that. Yes.
Some questions. So, the Inkjoint asked, in regarding to this current monstrosity that you are creating, what filament are you planning to print it with?
Yeah, so for the filament for this, I want something that's not going to suffer from stringing. Again, I've been tuning my retraction settings quite recently on the Duplicator 6, which is, you might not be able to see it over there in the corner. So I'm going to go with a PLA. I'm going to go with a really nice quality PLA. To be honest, I haven't decided yet. I printed this one in Polyalchemy Elixir, which I'm going to do a little quick review soon on. It's really nice. But I might go with something that's a bit more translucent that I can put a light in and it sort of gets a crazy glow to it. I do have a blue PLA that's sort of a Miku Hatsune style from it's in America, so I might do that. So it'll be like a light blue transparent cube. I think that's what I'll go with. I'll show you the filament. It's pretty cool.
Multi-purpose keys.
What?
Multi-purpose keys.
Yeah. Keys are just used to rip open packages, basically. Yeah, so this is this is going to be the filament for it. It's sort of a custom batch that was made by Matter Hackers, so my friends in the States, and it's a aqua blue, translucent blue, themed by after the Miku Hatsune Vocaloid. I'm gonna do it in that. It'll look awesome. It's going to look really cool. Excellent. So no doubt a lot of you are probably thinking there's better ways to draw it, which there absolutely would be. And a better way to do it would be to have the patterning linked to a, what's the word? I don't know, variable? Is that, yeah, like a variable that you can change. So I could just go in and make this file and then have a number that I change in a drop down, and then it updates everything without having to go through one by one if I want to change the spacing and the number of cubes, I guess. So that's going to be my next challenge, I guess. Not in this stream by all means, because I'm still learning how to use the software. But that would be cool. If I could have a variable that then I can make these lattice infill craziness things easily.
Questions?
I love the interference patterns it makes. That's so cool. Yes, more questions, please.
Okay, so Maddie asked that if you think the print will be okay in terms of supporting its own weight while printing.
I think so. Again, going back to this one had no issues. This one's I've designed as way more intricate, but it's not very heavy. There's not much material in it. The only concern I have is its adherence to the build platform. So there's only those small areas. There's only sort of 5 points. That's why in my slicer in Simplify 3D, I added in 4, I think it was, brims. So the brims are usually if you do a brim, it's just to wipe the nozzle. But in this case, I've made them touch the part as well. So they're going to add like an extra large, I guess, surface area to those first contact points. And I'm hoping that's going to keep this model stuck down. The weight, I'm not too worried about. I mean, I've printed humongous things that use half a roll of filament, 500 grams or more, and they've been okay. This is only going to use, I didn't actually see the preview in Simplify 3D, but probably only maybe 200 grams if that. Probably much less. But there is a chance it'll fall over. Absolutely there is. There's a chance that this is going to just knock itself over. What it looks like with perspective on.
So Angus.
Yes.
Some other questions. So I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing this right.
Give it a shot.
He will correct me if he's still around.
Give it a go.
Stefan asks, why will you not give PETG a chance after just one bad experience?
That's not true. I haven't used PETG much because I really just haven't had access to it. I used a sample from one of the, what was it called? The Fillerbox filament subscription services, which was a Maker Geeks PETG, and they printed beautifully. They printed really, really good. I haven't been sent a sample roll of PETG to test, so that's why I haven't really used it. And to be honest, a lot of my machines print ABS perfectly. The ups print ABS really well, so I haven't had the need to try to use PETG. I've just been PLA or ABS. It seems to just work fine for me. I did have a bad experience, yeah, that's true, with the Craftbot Plus and the Filamentive. It just didn't seem to play well. But then Joel had fantastic experiences with his Filamentive PET. So, I don't know. It's not that I hate it, I just haven't needed to use it. That's pretty the main reason. But I have been using a lot of experimental filaments recently, so I might start to use it more. So this is just fun to play with. I'm going to modify some parameters. Yes.
Okay, so a while ago, Billy Mauser asks, what do you recommend using for putting textures on 3D designs? I wasn't sure if you actually knew how to do this, because I know you do a lot of 3D modeling, but I'm not sure if you're familiar with texturing.
No, I'm really not. I'm not sure how to put textures on. And I think, unless you're talking about actually like bump maps, I don't know how to reproduce those in real life. I only know how they're done in games, just very vaguely, to add more detail into an otherwise low polygon mesh. But I don't know how to reproduce them at all. You'd need something like ZBrush or something like that, which actually can stamp textures. I don't know. It's definitely not my field of study, but maybe Lady Muse will learn how to do it because she's learning how to organically model.
It's in the end game.
Yeah, she'll get there. It's not fair. Like, she downloaded a sort of a basic humanoid shape and then turned it into this awesome cyborg in like a day. And if I tried to do that, it would just look like a pile of poop. So you're going to see more organic modeling because she knows how to do it now. Alright, I'm going to do some editing on this. So I'm just going back through and just tweaking things, seeing if I can change things. Get some interesting results. This is going to break everything. I know that for a fact. It's not liking that.
Okay, so Angus?
Yes.
Ryan Fitzgerald asks, this is specifically for the Wanhao i3.
Yep.
What exotic filaments have you had success with? And have you used conductive PLA?
Yeah, so the Wanhao i3 I've printed with PLA, all manner of PLAs, some of them semi-flex, some of them metal filled, wood filled, beer filled, like in the buzzed filament. Just make sure you have a hardened nozzle if you're printing with those abrasive materials. I have printed PETG with it. Keep in mind I have replaced my extruder with a Flexion extruder now, so that's better at flexibles, so I've done flexibles with it now. You'll find with the conductive ones, at least in my experience, they're not that conductive. They might have changed and there might be better ones now, but the ones I used to try were just like mega ohms in terms of resistance and not really that great. But yeah, I mean, I haven't tried anything super crazy on them, to be honest. The weirdest one I've done was Flex 45, which was a high temperature flexible, semi-flex, and that needed a bed temperature of 115 degrees Celsius, which apparently not many Wanhao i3s can get to. Apparently it's like a hit and miss thing. It's almost like, buying a processor that's good at overclocking. It's like some Wanhaos can heat up to a high temperature and some can't. So mine can luckily get to 115, and that's what I needed for Flex 45. But yeah, I haven't done too many really wacky materials, to be honest. You can get stuff like lathe foam and lathe brick. I mean, they're pretty old now. But I'd never had any success with those. Is this working? Yes. I'm making a slightly smaller one.
Okay. So Billy asks,
Yes.
have you tried using Blender yet? So I think you have.
No, I can't use Blender. Blender's interface is just too foreign to me. It's just too different to everything I've ever used. And again, I can't organically model. I'll admit my faults. I cannot 3D model organically, artistically. It's just not. It's not in my nature. I just couldn't get my head around Blender. Even like the right clicking and whatever is different. You have to reconfigure it. I can't do it. Which is a shame because it's really powerful, but it's just not what I want to do. It's great if you want to do character modeling, but not great if you want to do stuff like this, in my opinion. I don't know. I'm happy to be wrong. I'm happy to be proven wrong. But I just cannot use it for the life of me. So I'm making a slightly smaller one here. Edit feature. -20.
Okay, some questions, because you love your questions.
I love questions.
Okay, let's see.
Oh, it still worked. Cool. No, sorry, continue.
So Sydney Makers Hub asked a while ago on CNC machines, what would you recommend getting? Because I know you've had a poke around CNC machines, and aren't you currently having a poke around now?
I'm looking at a laser engraver that's from AliExpress, GearBest. But to be completely honest, I haven't kept up with the CNC scene. It used to be like a Shapeoko, which do still look pretty good. But I would honestly check out the Shaper, which I think that's what it's called. I don't know much about it, but it's a computer-controlled router that can follow a path, and it's user-guided, but then it self-compensates to follow the path you've programmed in it. It's not available in Australia yet, which is just a usual case for anything cool. But yeah, I think it's called the Shaper, and I don't know much more about it. But for CNCs, like, all the guys in the States that I know who are serious, they use like Tormac systems, and they would be the best way to go. You can get Roland machines, but they're too expensive for what they are, in my opinion. So I'd say Shapeoko would be one to look at, definitely. But again, I haven't kept up to date on it. It's hard enough keeping up to date on 3D printers, let alone all the other variable-related technologies.
Okay, so another question
Yes.
is Shivel asked, Angus, what do you need to review a filament? I think the 3D Phillies, filaments could use a review, hopefully to drum up some local Australian business for filaments.
Yeah, the 3D Phillies guys, they're so hard to find. Like, everyone says they're on eBay, but I go on eBay and all I see is Aurorum and Chinese stuff. I don't know. Their marketing and appearance online is very poor. So I did look into it when people mentioned it, and I just gave up, to be honest. But at this stage, I mean, I'm just most of the filaments on that back wall are suppliers hoping for reviews. I got enough printers on backlog to try to do reviews, so it's asking a lot to drum up supply. Even though I do want to support Australian business, it's just I can't do any more free handouts to more companies, I guess. It sounds horrible, but it's kind of how it is.
Shivel says 3dphillies.com, so have you looked at their website?
3dphillies.com. I'll check it out. I will check it out. They did used to have a good nylon when they first opened. What am I trying to do?
Break your 3D printer and your computer by the looks of it.
Yeah, I might make one that's just an outside lattice and see if that works. But anyway, we'll probably stop soon. So, just gonna delete these and create mirror objects bodies. Oh, nope. Sorry. Any more questions?
Yep.
Happy to keep
Lots
answering
and
them.
lots of
Keep
questions.
keep going. I'm just trying new things.
Okay, so Braden asked a while ago, is Simplify 3D compatible with the CTC Replicator 1?
I don't know. I would say so. The CTC was a MakerBot clone, as far as I understand, and Simplify 3D can run MakerBots. So I would say yes, but I would also check with them. Yeah, that's a very specific question.
Okay, so how about a more general one? So Med DK asks, Angus, how do you use your 3D knowledge in real life? Like work, pleasure, etc.
Well, it's my job now, I guess. So my 3D knowledge, I use it on the channel, obviously. I don't know, if something breaks, I'm always thinking of how I can fix it using just, modeling it up myself and things like that. I obviously am trained as an industrial designer, so if I get requests for products, I make a lot of birthday presents myself. I model them up. And if people, if my friends want specific things, I'll draw them up. I don't know. It's interesting. I always look at things and think about how I can reuse them in different ways. But I guess that comes more from the robots, where you'll look at a cordless drill and it's a drive motor for a combat robot, or like a saw blade, and that's a weapon for a combat robot.
I can also interject with my experience primarily as an illustrator and graphic designer, that while playing with Sculptress, only in 2 days I've been using it, it's helped me really understand organic form. So in the case of anatomy, and human form, that's what I've been playing with, and it's really helped me better understand that. So 3D knowledge, when applied properly, can also help creators, such as artists, with like pose and understanding of form and etc., which is really hard when you're only working on it 2D. So that's my opinion as well.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Oh, and I'll ask you another question because it's actually related to that.
Go for it.
So Cat Gaming asks, what is your preferred filament for making fun little shelf ornaments that won't kill your wallet?
Again, I mean, I always get what's the best filament to use questions. It depends where you are in the world. Absolutely. Like for me, Hobby King is the cheapest source for Sydney, but for you, it might be Hatchbox. It really depends where you are because shipping is what kills it. If the filament's cheap, but the shipping's twice as much as the filament, kind of defeats the purpose. So yeah, I mean, I use Hobby King's in-house brand for most things, and it's pretty good. But if I want something more decent, I'll probably use, I guess, eSun. But again, because I have so many rolls sent to me, I just use whatever I've got on hand, which is a bit not really useful for you. But yeah, it lets me test out different things. Yeah, it just depends where you are. Shipping's the killer. Shipping's killer for 3D printers and 3D printing filament.
And all right, Cosmic Nutella says hi.
Hi, Cosmic Nutellas. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm going to do some crazy stuff. And then we'll finish up. Let's do a rectangular pattern with all of that around that. No, not rectangular, sorry. Rotational pattern. Circular. That.
Okay, do you still want some questions?
Yeah, I can do a few more.
Okay, so David Young asked, so recommendations for flexible filaments, direct drive or Bowden?
Yeah, so for flex materials, Bowden is always really difficult. I would say if you're printing 1.75 diameter, you can't do it on a Bowden. I may be wrong, but if you're doing Bowden, you really need to go to 3mm, and you have to go really slow, like really, really, really slow. You can do it. I have seen people do it on an Ultimaker, no problem, just you have to slow the speeds right down. Personally, I prefer direct drive with no gap between the feeder gear and the PTFE lining. So you've got extruders like the Flexion, you've got extruders like the BPS, version 2 and version 3 from Bill's Prototyping Studios. All of those that have direct support from top and bottom, so the filament can't deviate. They work awesome for flexible. Otherwise, if there's any gap, it'll just find the path of lowest resistance and spill out the side like wet noodles. So yeah, I'd say direct drive with a fully supported PTFE guide. That's the best way to do flexibles, absolutely. I've got a little cross here. And what do I want to do with it? I don't know, I want to pattern it or something. Let's have a look. Create. Rectangular, no. That's pretty cool. You can do a web. Yeah, I might leave it there. I want to play around with this a little bit more. But the whole idea is that I want to try to make very complicated structures with no support. And I'm going to do a video on it. But I'm starting with cubes, but I'd like to move into other shapes, maybe triangular, sort of different types of spheres, different types of prisms, and see what can be done. Like this could have columns vertically in it as well. And it's just about working out the best way to draw it, which I'll get there, I guess. Anyway, do a few more questions, then we'll probably polish up, I think. But it's been fun, and I hope you guys like the new layout. I mean, it's always difficult figuring out the best way to show a screen and the chat and the webcam with some information, so I chucked this together. I don't know if it's any good, but the idea is that in future, if we do long streams, then I can have this running with like a chat in another window that I can see, and we can do like hackathons, which is good because Lady Muse can now 3D model, so that's gonna be fun.
Yeah, stay tuned for all the weird stuff I'll end up modeling. I've actually been modeling a little mascot for Makers Muse, so that's going to be an interesting project in the future.
It looks really good
excited
so far.
about that,
Yeah, she's doing a mascot. It's pretty cute.
Okay, so just
Right,
some
a couple more questions and we'll polish up.
Alright, so I think we got 4 listed here, and goodbye Trace. We'd love to see your tiny dick, but
that's
I'll just
pretty
have
funny.
you put it away. I don't know if I should be impressed or horrified. Oh god, I can't see that Oh, well, who cares? Anyway, so Squiddy's asked a while ago, would Angus be up to making a series on designing and building his own 3D printer using aluminium extrusions and 3D printed parts? I know you get this question a couple of times, but not sure about using aluminium extrusions.
Yeah, look, I would absolutely love to build a 3D printer, and it is on the cards. It's just a time thing. I am so time poor, it's not funny. Like, even on today's Sunday, and I've got things scheduled to do. So to build a printer, even from a kit, took forever on the Tarantula. We're not talking about that today. But to make another 3D printer from scratch, yeah, I'd love to. I have to 3D model what I want first and then make it. It could be done. I'd love to do it. I just need to get the time for it. That's the main thing. I need to find the time. And right now, there's no time, sadly. This game, I'd love to print this in flexible, actually. Just realized it'd be pretty cool.
What the? Luke Patet says, Angus, search for furry vase. Should I be scared?
Furry what?
Vase. What's a furry vase? Well, I guess we'll just have to find out.
Furry vase.
Yeah.
I'll have a look later. I have no idea what that is, though.
Okay, so from 3D Print Everything, what do you think of PLA Plus or high strength PLA? I tried to review one not too long ago and would love your opinion on it.
Yeah, I've been using Polymax for a long time, which is one of the first and original kind of, I guess, modified PLAs. And they're great. They work probably, better than regular PLA. But I guess you really need to, if you need the higher temperature resistance, then you need to use the really fancy ones. Or, to be honest, I just print in ABS on the machines that can. But yeah, they're definitely stronger and tougher. They don't get brittle like regular PLA. Like, this is the Alchemy Elixir, Polyalchemy Elixir. This is a modified PLA, and it's so much tougher than the normal PLAs that are much more brittle, like the standard Hobby King stuff. But yeah, I mean, in terms of finding a regular one that I use all the time, I haven't really settled down on one. I just tend to use the normal crappy PLAs and then an ABS when I want something stronger. That's because I got the luxury of machines that can print ABS well. I know it's not a very common thing. So yeah, I haven't tried the eSun PLA Plus yet. That's one I think would be cool because it's the right price point as well. Polymaker Polymax is really nice, but it's just a bit too expensive for most people, especially once you ship it. There's not many suppliers close by to people.
Okay, so regarding so Furry Face is a print done by Daniel Nori. It's on his YouTube channel, so you can check that out later.
Okay, I'll check it out.
And Cat Gaming asks, what CAD software is relatively easy for making your own Maker coin besides Onshape?
Well, for making your own Maker coin, there's Onshape and Fusion360. I would say would be the way to go. So I think so far that since I've done that original Onshape video, Joel has done a tutorial for his channel on Fusion360, and Chuck has done a video on his channel using Tinkercad to make pretty much the same thing. The idea of a Maker coin is just a little simple design with your logo on it. Just a great way to get into 3D design. So yeah, it's whatever you want to use, essentially. I prefer to use parametric stuff, but Chuck showed you could do it using Tinkercad, which is very basic and simple to use. So whatever you want to feel like using. You could use anything. You could use Sculptress, make an organic Maker coin. I don't know. Alright, probably one more and then we'll polish up. I'm hungry.
Yeah, so this one's from Fluff Kitten. So they've been asking this question repeatedly, so I'm hoping that they're still around.
Okay.
So will the Prisa, so Prisa, yeah, Prisa, i3 version 2 kit be good for a novice 3D printer guy? I am grown up. I don't know. Yes,
the Prusa is a fantastic kit. If you're looking for an i3 design that will work really well, buy the original. Buy the original Prusa i3 Mark II. Absolutely. The amount of good reviews for it so far just are clearly demonstrating how good it is. So yeah, it's a good printer, clearly. Go check out Joel and Tom's review and Richard's on Rich Rap. He built a kit with his daughter. Go check that out and see what they thought of it. It's pretty much positives all around. And I'm sure once I get mine out of the box and testing and trying it, it'll be the same situation. Cool. Well, I'm going to have to call it, guys, because I'm hungry and it's been a bit over an hour. But thank you so much for joining me. This has been fun. I'm trying to learn Fusion 360 and going through it with you guys is lots of fun as well. And I'm going to be doing a time lapse of this print, not on the screen now, but the bigger version of this, and doing a video on my findings at a future date, because it's a cool idea. I do like the idea of something that overhangs like this, and it's been fun learning Fusion 360 because it's clearly the most popular free parametric modeling program out there at the moment. So I'm jumping on board, trying to pick it up, trying to learn how to use it, and hopefully you guys can feel that you can get your feet wet and try it as well. And I have to say thank you so much to all of my patrons for supporting me. I could not be doing these videos without you. This is my full-time job. Makers Muse is what I do for a living. I do a bit of training, a bit of 3D printer fixing on the side, but it's mostly, I'm mostly able to do it because of your support to keep doing these videos and reviews, and I really, really do appreciate it. So guys, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much to Lady Muse for helping out and answering and fielding your questions, because I can't see them because I've got Fusion 360 on my screen. And I look forward to seeing you again very shortly here on Makers Muse. Have a fantastic weekend. See you later, guys.
Yeah,
Bye.
goodbye from